Grand, Grand Rising, beautifuls. Happy Tuesday. It is August 19th, 2025. Thought I'd happen share a little insight with you. I'm starting to feel like myself again. I have a little bit more energy than I have in the last couple of days. Before I dive into my topic of the day, which is a really long topic, it's why do you trust your car's GPS and not your own? And before I dive into that, let me introduce myself. I'm Reverend Joanne Angel Barry Colon. I'm the founder of Holistic Fitness NY. I serve, help, transform, and hold space for women over 40, helping them to release emotional weight without dieting, and giving them the space so they can step into their confidence and their courage to walk away from their 9 to 5 and step into their soul's work, soul's calling for that matter. And as I said here, drinking my coffee, finishing up breakfast, getting myself ready for my next client, I just heard insight, which was just downloaded. And the question was, why is it that we trust our car's GPS and we don't trust our own? And what do I mean by that? For those of you who know me as a holistic personal trainer, I blend many healing modalities into my practice. And one of those modalities is astrology. As a medical astrologer, it just seemed fitting to study medical astrology to better help you navigate through your own body. In addition to medical astrology, astrology itself, in its on the whole, is really about who you are. In fact, you may not even be aware of this, but you actually created your astrology chart. In fact, God and you created that astrology chart where you both sat down and came up with different agreements, lessons, and challenges to go through in this lifetime. And your natal chart, your birth chart, your astrology chart, they're all one and the same, gives you the navigation to the exact steps. It's like, again, getting in your car and turning on, whether you use Waze or your Google GPS, whatever it is that you're using, so you can get from one location to the other the most easiest way possible. And that's the same thing when it comes to your natal chart. It literally is your mapping to everything that's going on in your life, based on 3 major signs on everyone's chart, which is your rising, your sun sign, and then your moon sign. And then of course there's a 4th one, which is actually the ruling planet to your rising sign. So if you happen to have, like myself, I'm a Cancer rising, so my ruling planet to my entire chart is the moon. If you happen to have Aries as your rising sign, your ruling planet is Mars. Taurus would be Venus. Gemini would be Mercury. We already said Cancer. Leo would be the Sun. Virgo would be Mercury. Libra would be Venus. Scorpio would be Pluto or Mars. Sagittarius would be Jupiter. Capricorn would be Saturn. Aquarius would be Saturn or Uranus. And then Pisces would be Neptune or Jupiter. So those are the ruling planets to those particular rising placements. So if you have any of those, which we all do, we all have one of the zodiac signs as our ruling, our rising sign. And I know I went really quick on that, so you'll have to come back later and track what your rising sign is, so that you know what your ruling planet is, because that's significant. Because where our planets are, collectively speaking, is also your ruling energy in regards to what is going on. So for example, like I said, I have Cancer as my rising sign, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon rotates every 2.5 days. If there's any planet, and now theoretically the moon is not really a planet, but if there's any planet that you really want to pay attention to, especially for my women over 40, is the moon. because it does rotate every 2.5 days, and your cycle, your menstrual cycle, is very much associated with your moon cycle and your moon sign. So it's really, really important, and I encourage my ladies who still have their cycle to track when you get your cycle. Are you getting your cycle during a new moon? Are you getting it during a crescent moon? Are you getting it through a waning moon? Are you getting it through a full moon? When are you getting your cycle? Because that's going to play a big role for when you do start your stages of your next chapter of life, which is, medically speaking, perimenopause or menopause. That's going to really help you. So in regards to utilizing your birth chart, which is your navigation system, to help you better understand what's actually going on, understanding your house placements. There's 12 house placements on everyone's chart, and each of those placements help you to better understand what's actually going on and what's sitting where. So for example, because the moon currently is in Cancer today, so those of you who do have your rising sign in Cancer, this is significant for you. It's significant for all of us. And in addition to the moon transiting Cancer today, the moon is also playing with Jupiter and also playing with Venus at this moment of time, because both Jupiter and Venus are sitting in Cancer energy. I do believe Venus is still in Cancer as we speak. I just want to double check that it hasn't already transited out, because I know it was a short visit. Let me just double check. So I'm just checking it out, making sure it has not already moved. So Venus in Cancer, is it still in Cancer? I believe it is. I do not believe it's moved just yet, because Venus does move a little faster, not as quickly as the moon does. Okay, yes, we have Venus in Cancer until the 25th, so it's still there. So the moon, Jupiter, and Venus are all playing in Cancer energy at this very moment of time. And what does that actually mean when we talk about Cancer? The zodiac sign Cancer is about how we nourish and how we nurture one another and how we nurture ourselves as well. I, as a holistic personal trainer, focus on the energy of Cancer as being back in your, feeling more comfortable in your own body. So when we have these 3 placements sitting in Cancer right now, this is a perfect opportunity for you to become more attuned to your own physical body and how you feel in your own physical body. What is going on in your own physical body? Some of the things I want you to pay attention to when we talk about the Cancerian energy in Jupiter, where it's been for quite some time and will be right through 2026, at least the beginning phase of 2026. Any place Jupiter is in, Jupiter is about the expansion, expanding your wealth, expanding your luck, expanding your journey. It also expands your waistline. And because it's sitting in water, you may notice, you might have noticed that since Jupiter has entered Cancer, that perhaps you're holding on to a little bit more water than usual, especially if you're not drinking as much water for whatever the reason are. Maybe you're not as thirsty or whatever the situation is. So you may be a little bit more bloated than usual because of Jupiter transiting Cancer's energy. And with the moon in Cancer energy, that's going to add to that as well, because the moon is about water. So it's really important to pay attention. And with Venus being in Cancer, this is about what you feel about your body. How do you nourish your body? How do you take care of your body? How do you fuel your body? How do you move your body? And that's the energy we're in. Now, of course, when we think about Jupiter, Venus, and the moon all sitting in your Cancer placement, the next question is, what house do you have Cancer in? Now, obviously, if you do have Cancer as your rising sign, that's your first house. So it's all about you. Now, if you have Cancer in your second house, that's the relationship, and that is really about how you value your body, how you respect your body, how you take care of your body. And of course it's about other relationships as well, but it is really about your physical body because it's that second house. Second house is ruled by Venus energy. So pay attention to that as well. Maybe you have Cancer in your sixth house. Sixth house is about taking care of your body physically, like moving your body, feeding your body, resting your body. It's about your nervous system. It's about being in service to your body in that sixth house energy. So paying attention to where you have Cancer in your chart with these 3 planets transiting it, and at least over the next, give and take, 2.5 days with the moon being in Cancer, and how this energy plays. This is about your navigation system. Now, of course, if you have any other planets sitting in that house, maybe you have Venus sitting in that placement with Cancer. Maybe you have Pluto sitting in that placement with Cancer. Maybe you have Mercury sitting in that placement with Cancer. So if you have Pluto sitting in that placement with Cancer, it really is about the transformation you're undergoing. It's about letting go of things that's not serving you and helping you to nourish your body. If you have Mercury sitting there with Cancer, that's about the experience, how you communicate with your physical body. Maybe it's about Mars sitting in Cancer. And if that's the case, it's about the action. And maybe it's even about the war that you have with yourself. Maybe you're not the most comfortable in your physical body. And maybe this is a perfect time to start asking yourself, what can you do so you can feel better in your own body? Because one of the things that I'm definitely here to teach is to help women like yourself fall in love with the body you're in and not focus so much about the weight that you carry. So if you happen to feel like you're carrying an extra 10, 20, 30 or more pounds and you're only focused on having to lose that weight, you're missing the bigger picture. Because again, the weight that you're carrying is not about food. It's not about movement. It's not about losing it. It really is about the story, the reason why you call that weight in. The weight could very well be the very thing that you're holding on to so you can take up a little bit more space, or that you can feel safe or feel protected. And until you can work through whatever fears or whatever you have that's connected to that story, is when you will actually lose that weight that you're carrying without necessarily dieting. Because again, I say this over and over and over again, your weight that you're carrying has absolutely nothing to do with food. Unfortunately, we have been programmed and conditioned to believe that we hold on to weight because of the food we're eating. And it has absolutely nothing to do with food. And until you can really understand and really sit with this idea of knowing that the weight that you're holding on to is not about food. It's not about food. And again, we've been conditioned and programmed to believe that we're supposed to be walking and moving and all this to utilize calories. You know, where we are so hyper-focused on we have to walk 10,000 steps a day. We have to strength train X amount of days a week. And I'm an advocate for strength training, so don't misunderstand this. But we're doing it for the wrong reasons. There's too many of you out there that are participating in these activities because you're doing it because you want to lose weight. And that's not the reason at all to be participating in any physical activity is to do it for weight loss. And unfortunately, that's what we've been programmed to believe. That if we walk 10,000 steps a day, every day of the week, we're going to reach our weight loss goal. And the reality of it all is the more you walk, the more your body gets used to it, which means over time you're not challenging your body at all with the walking that you're doing. Which is why strength training is so important. Because even with strength training, The idea is that we want to build a stronger foundation so we can be stronger and be able to do the things we're looking to do. It has absolutely nothing to do with weight loss. And we need to understand this concept. And that's why looking at your natal chart can better help you understand your storyline to why you may very well be holding on to the weight that you're holding on to. So, for example, when we think about our energy we're in right now, I'm going to speak to you about 2 other planets, and then I'm going to jump off because I have something to do in about 15 minutes. I'm going to speak to you about Neptune and Saturn. And why am I speaking about Neptune and Saturn? Because both of these planets are sitting in Aries energy currently. Aries is your I am statement. Aries represents your first house, so it's very much associated with your rising sign. And when we talk about Neptune is your spiritual evolution. Neptune is about evolving into the higher version of you. And with it sitting in Aries, it's about taking off your mask and allowing yourself to be transparent and allowing yourself to really sit in your story of who you really are so you can share that story out. And one of the things I've come to learn in the last couple of months with working with many women who hold a lot of weight, that you can share your story and still not release the weight. And you may be sitting back and saying, well, isn't that what I just said, to share your story so you can release the weight? That is true. However, if you're still holding on to the emotions, to that story, that's what we have to let go of. We have to let go of the anger, the frustration, and the hurt that's associated with that story to fully release the weight. Now again, it's also about, are you really willing to let go of that weight? Sometimes we want to hold on to that weight because that's what we're used to. It is our armor. And it is what helps us to be more in power. And when I use the word empower, it's not political. It's like feeling your power because you have that weight. Whereas if you start to release that weight, you may not really know how to stand in your power. So it's really important to pay attention to this Neptunian energy that sits in Aries right now. And come mid-September, Neptune is going to move back into Pisces, where it spent 14 years helping us to really evolve and learn on an intuitive level who we are based on being intuitive. Now, when we talk about Saturn, Saturn is about your structure. It's about restructuring your physical body, restructuring your mindset, and moving into the space of not restricting yourself. So many of you are restricting yourself based on your limited mindset of thinking that working with your astrology chart is a woo-woo thing to do. And it's far from woo-woo at all, because it really is your navigation system. It will literally help you the same way where you go right to your Waze or your Google GPS when you get in your car because you want to know where you're going. I mean, I see people using their GPS when they're walking in a city they're not familiar with just to make sure they get to the right place. So why are we not using the GPS that was actually designed for us, that we designed with God? We literally sat with God and created this chart that can help you navigate from one place to the other. So you're not restricting yourself, you're not limiting yourself, you're opening yourself up to opportunities where you can possibly understand that, you know what, I can do this in this time frame, and it can be aligned with me right now. As opposed to utilizing all your time and energy to try to do something and it doesn't go anywhere. So we really need to pay attention. Now, Saturn in Aries right now, as of September 2nd, I believe it's September 2nd. Just checking my calendar here. Actually, September 1st, Saturn will move back into Pisces and stay there until February of 2026. So we're going to have a period of time where, again, Saturn in Pisces is really about recreating your boundaries. It's about becoming more in tune to who you are, spiritually speaking, and to really get into that space of recognizing your spiritual gifts, your metaphysical gifts. We all have them. Whether you believe in them or not, we all have them. We all have the ability to be intuitive. In fact, very quickly, if I have the time to, let me see if I can grab my notes on something I wrote the other day. Yes. So I'm going to run through this really quickly, and you may have to come back and listen to this again and take some notes. So based on your metaphysical gifts for each zodiac sign, and remember, you want to look at your big three, your big three signs, your rising, your sun, and your moon sign, because those three are going to help you have a story to what your metaphysical gifts are. You don't just have one. So, for example, Aries, who are pyrotactic, and I think I said that wrong, which basically just means they start the force of fire within them. Then we have Taurus, who are telepathic. They move things with their mind. Geminis are remote viewing, where they literally can see things beyond what's in front of them. They can see right through you, more or less. Then we have our Cancers, which are empaths. They feel everything. We have our Leos, who are channelers. They channel energy in. We have our Virgos, who are energy healers. We have our Libras, who are telepathic, and they can hear. They hear messages. Then we have our Scorpios, who are death warns, which means they can speak to spirit. We have our Sagittarius, who are precognition, which means they can see into the future. They can see things before you see them. We have our Capricorns, who again are mediums, similar to Scorpios. We have our Aquarius, who are clairvoyant. And we have our Pisces, who are astral projects, which means they leave their body and they go to the other side. So we all have our metaphysical gifts now. Ideally, whether you're using it or not, it's really on you. But the reason why I want to come here and share this insight with you is because I wanted to wake you up. I wanted to wake you up today because, again, just something to think about. Why is it you're so quick to use your car GPS, but you're not quick to use your own GPS, which is literally your astrology chart, to help you navigate through what's going on for you, to learn and understand how, for example, the moon is playing in your chart, how Neptune and Saturn are literally going to get ready to transit back into Pisces, where Neptune spent 14 years there, helping you to tap into your metaphysical gifts. And Saturn is about restructuring your boundaries, restructuring your foundation. It's really time that you pay attention to where you have these planets on your chart. What house are they in? Because the house gives you a theme to where they are in. Like for me, I have Saturn in my 11th house, which is about restructuring my community. It's in my 11th house. It's restructuring my community. I have Neptune sitting in my, I want to say my 4th house. Let me see. Let me get my chart, not my client's chart, won't help me. I have Neptune sitting, yes, in my 4th house, which is really about the spiritual evolution to home. Now, I speak of home in 3 sections: your career, your shelter, and your physical body. So where do you have Neptune and Saturn on your chart? What house is it in? And of course, if you have other planets there as well, that's going to add to that navigation system. Because then that means there's more going on in that house than just that one planet. Now, of course, if you're not familiar with your astrology chart, you've never taken a look at your chart, maybe up until now you just thought it was woo-woo and you didn't really realize it was your navigation system, and you're interested in learning more about your chart, you can go about this several ways. One way, simple and easy, you can grab a reading with me, where we can look at your Neptune and Saturn placement and see what's going on there for you, because as they move back into Pisces, where they will spend a little bit of time in a retrograde, this is really going to be about a review of who you are based on an intuitive level. And we can also look at all the energy that's going to be taking place in Virgo season as the sun moves into Virgo. On the 23rd of August, we have a new moon in Virgo, and then we have another new moon in Virgo in September 21st for that matter. That's double new moons in Virgo. So anytime we don't usually have a double new moon in any zodiac sign. So when we do, that means there's serious business that's about to take place, because Virgo is really about being in service. Are you being in service? How are you serving? Is what you're doing most of your day in service? Are you living purposefully? Are you living in purpose? Some of you may be out of alignment with your purpose. And that's one of the reasons why you're not accomplishing the fame and success you're looking for, because you're not in alignment to what you really came here to do. Every one of us have been attuned and ordained to do something. Every one of us. There's no one on this earth that has not been ordained and attuned to do something. Every one of us has something special that we're here to be doing. And you may not be in your special space, and that could be why you're feeling out of alignment, or you're constantly not well, or you're constantly getting hurt. These are all the ways the universe tries to get your attention to wake you up. Because you're sleeping. Because you're not paying attention to your navigation system. You're on the wrong road. And because you're on the wrong road, you're not going to get to where you have to go. You got to wake up, wake up, wake up. Some of you have had wake-up calls and you're still sleeping through those wake-up calls. So it's really important to start getting yourself in the space. So again, if you've never looked at your navigation system, meaning your astrology chart, and you are finally waking up and realizing that, okay, this is not woo-woo. This is not magic. This is not whatever other words you might have considered it to be, because maybe you've been conditioned to believe it was something different. But this is your navigation system. This is your chart. No one's chart looks like your chart. Even if you share a rising sign, your chart is not going to be the same. There's going to be a lot of differences in your chart, even if you share a rising sign. So again, if you want to get to know who you are on a more authentic level and start to navigate in a much easier way, grab a reading with me, or if you like, you can get on my wait list for my astrology course, which will take place in 2026. We're midway through it right now. I only offer the course once a year. And it's a 52-week course. We meet every week for 52 weeks. And at the end of that course, you will know how to read your own chart. You will know how to read other people's chart. And you will walk away with a certificate that will allow you to read other people's charts. So these are two ways that I offer an opportunity for you to really get to know who you are and how to navigate through your system. Because it is your navigation system. It is your GPS. And it's time that we start moving into this idea of knowing that we have something that we can use to help us get to point A to point B with a little bit more ease. And it's so silly of you not to use your navigation system to help you. When you're very quick to turn on your phone to your GPS to get in your car to go from point A to point B, And you don't have a problem using that. That wasn't designed with you in mind. Your navigation system, you designed this. Yes, you designed this with God. And I know you may be sitting back saying that's not possible. It is possible. Everything on here is what you agreed to. These are your agreements. These are your lessons that you set and had a conversation way before you were born to make your grand entrance on a date you were born. Even that you chose to do. You chose the date that you wanted to be born. You had this conversation with God to decide, do you want to be born on January 1st, or did you want to be born on April 1st? Or did you want to be born in May? You were assigned that to yourself, and God helped you create it. So yes, this is not woo-woo. This is not woo-woo. This is your navigation system. And like I said, I was sitting here quietly minding my own business, and this is what I was guided to share with you. I may talk more about this, maybe do a live a YouTube video on it so it can be saved, so more people can really understand this concept. So again, if you are interested in taking a look at your natal chart and seeing what's going on with Neptune and Saturn and Virgo, because those are the big placements that's going to get ready to shake you up a little bit. That's going to shake you up a little bit. Virgo's all about your nervous system. It's about your physical body. And with 2 new moons sitting in Virgo's energy, literally back to back, our first new moon is going to be at 0 degrees with me, which means something new is unfolding. And the second new moon is going to be sitting at 29 degrees, which means something is coming to an end. And why not get in front of it so you can decide how to navigate through it? So there you go. There you have it. I'm going to pull a card to help you better understand this energy, and then I have to get going. What do we need to know based on your navigation system, and to step into it and stop believing that everything is woo-woo? Because not everything is woo-woo. And even if that is the term we use, the reality of it all is, where did that term come from? We are all spiritual beings. And we're all here created by God. And every one of us have had messages, conversations with God in order to do the very things we came here to do. All right. I'm loving the cards that are popping out. So the first card is spiritual career. Well, first card, the only card. There were other cards that popped out, but this was the first one, and I'm only going to read one today. Spiritual career. So what is your spiritual career? This could be the reason why you're feeling so out of alignment, because you're not in your spiritual career. Now, when I use the word spiritual career, it doesn't mean you have to be a Reiki practitioner, an acupuncturist, or massage therapist. It just means you need to be in your purpose, whatever that is. And your purpose doesn't mean that you're looking for a job that's going to support you with your finances or your health insurance. That's not a spiritual career. A spiritual career is not about false security. A spiritual career is something that serves your purpose, and that when you're in it, that is what's going to open you up to live in wealth and prosperity. The blue energy, which is turquoise for the throat, this is really about having a conversation, communicating, and learning to experience the energy of what it is to really feel like you're living in purpose and on purpose and for purpose. The number 77 is a big reminder that there's massive changes coming through. The 7 is a reminder that you have agreements and lessons that you have set with God to create and fulfill in this lifetime. I'm going to leave you there with that card. Work on your throat chakra. And perhaps it's time to let go of some of the programming and condition that you have regarding woo-woo stuff, and start being more open-minded and thinking for yourself and tapping into your intuition and using your natal chart as your navigation system. If I can support you, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to sit and open your chart with you so we can look at your Virgo placement, Neptune, and Saturn, because those are the big three energies that's about to erupt for the next couple of months. I will see you on the other side.